I hadn't gone live. I thought that I was live. I'm coming to you from Bethesda, Maryland. Hello, North Bethesda to be specific, and I'm having a great time. Resting, refreshing, relaxing after my appointment with the orthopedic doctor who took the nodules out of my finger. So healing is going well. But I tell you, those appointments take a lot out of me. I tend to get very anxious, and I'm happy to report that I was able to calm myself down and had a really fantastic, hey Vicki, hey K&Ro, a very fantastic PA who was taking care of business with my fingers. I also want to say this is our last Poetry and Prompts episode for this season. And as you know, we have a lot of new things coming up down the pike. We have our walk, Wonder Walks. It will be in the evenings. And hi, Ms. Zem. And we're also going to have the journaling coming up. I do need to change the dates for the journaling because y'all get the big news around here first. We're going to switch the journaling to the first week in August. I will actually be doing that from Amherst, Massachusetts, home to Emily Dickinson, which is kind of cool and perfect. Because I was cast in those monologues. So I'm going to be performing. I auditioned over video. I talked about that. Hey, Chris, good to see you. So I had my video audition that I was like, that was craziness. Which you will all be seeing down the road. And I was cast, so I'm delighted about that. But I have 3 rehearsals next week. And unfortunately, I can't control the fact that I can't. Those are the only, that's the only thing I need to switch around, which is pretty good for theater world. So anyway, I have 2 new books that I got today. This one is called The Poetry of Impermanence, Mindfulness, and Joy. It's fantastic. And then this one is the Best American Poetry for 2025. I suggest people get this. Hey, look, Mike's in the house. If you like poetry, this is a great place to start. The Best of American Poetry. I strongly suggest these annual editions. So we'll go ahead and get started. All right. So, and I thought it's perfect because the first poem is by Margaret Atwood, and it's called Tell Me Something Good. And I thought we could all relate to that tell me something good message from Margaret Atwood, yes, who you might know from her novels. But she was a poet first, and she wrote this. Tell me something good. Oh, by the way, in the chat, if you want to tell us something good while this poem is being read, that would be perfect. So what is something good in your world? Okay. Tell me something good. Just one good thing. Just tell me something that will get me through the hours, the days, the weeks that bring nothing of goodness. Just more news of other things like spoiled meat or else raw bones the dogs keep dragging in from God knows where. What bombed out car or ocean wreck? Whose child's ribs wrenched open? Whose woman's torso torn like bread? Whose son now headless? What trashed home? What oily sludge 100 miles wide on which we feed? The words pour in. The door won't close. Oh, stop. Stop. Go mute. Just one good thing instead is all I ask. So let's say green buds. Or wait, there aren't a lot of those. Just one green bud might do, let's say a person said hello and not unkindly. No, let's say that it got cooler or else warmer, or the rain finished or else it rained. Which one was needed? No, instead say breakfast. That could do it. A faint shimmering of plates and pearly spoons and tender cup. What comfort. There. That 30 minutes passed at any rate. The gate defended for little space, and wasn't that enough? No. Wait. So what is something good? Tell me something good. Tell me something good. So anything good at all. I would say something good is looking out this window from the 8th floor of this hotel, a Canopy Hotel, and I see an REI out the window. So if you're a fan of REI, right there here in North Bethesda, I'm also something good here is the light in this corner room is really sweet. And I'm looking forward to what happens at sunset and sunrise. Very happy about that. That's something good. So Margaret Atwood, she's a poet. By the way, if you like this video, I would love it if you would pop a little thumbs up. That'd be great. That's a song by Rufus too. Oh my goodness. Well, that's something good. You had the 45. That's awesome. Good memories of 45s. Do they still sell? I guess, I wonder what the equivalent of a 45, a single. I don't know what the equivalent of that would be. You know what else about REI? REI has greenscape on its roof, which is perfect. Okay, that's something good. Okay, that's kind of, I was going to read one, but it's too long. Now I know why I didn't mark that poem. It has so much potential, that one. This poem is called Miraculous by Virginia Conscian. Remember, you may share a line that you like. You may chat with each other. You can tell me something good. Yes. Here we go. Miraculous by Virginia Conscian. Outside, the air is perfume sweet, the sky suffused in motherly hues. A rich tapestry called past tense unfolds like a scroll before me. The future beckons, then leaves. But what's truly amazing is this. I step into traffic and it swerves. I drink poison and vomit it out. I encounter people who desired to kill me with their bare hands, and several have tried, only to find their weapons shattered, their ways scattered and lost. Blessed the poor and lowly. Blessed are those who mourn. Tell a dream, lose a reader, but every day I swear I am reborn. Every day I meet with an angel. Some minister to me tenderly, others clean and dress my wounds. Some make it rain mysteriously. A very few pierce me through my heart with arrows made of alabaster marble and pure gold. You might think I'm freaking, but I'm wide awake. You may think I'm joking, but I'm not prone to joke anymore. The rod and staff they comfort, I abide, and in abiding forbear. What if grace holds me together? What if heaven is what earth is for? I really like that one. Okay. I want to make sure I see everybody who's here. Cindy's here. Hi, Cindy. Catherine's here. Chris is here. So good to see you. Vicky, Kay and Rowe, Chris. Okay, we saw Kathy, Vicky, Miss M. So good to see all of you people here. Mike, hooray for Mike Adventure Sparks. Okay, I think I got everybody who's checked in. I know some of you haven't checked in. It would be awesome if you would give this video a like. So y'all are so nice. I love how you keep each other company. I found a poem about from a poet named Michael Ondaatje, and it's about. I know we have a lot of cat lovers, and this week I shared a picture of my cat Alice, who hasn't been with us for quite a few years, and this is about a 16-year-old cat who is no longer with her owner. So it's a male cat named Jack. It's called November. Where is my dear 16-year-old cat? I wish to carry upstairs in my arms, looking up at me and thinking, be careful, dear human. 16 years. How many days since I found you as if an urchin in a snowstorm, and you moved in, assured, learned the territories of the house and what became your garden. Only now do we see the horizon where you paused 2 or 3 times and then slipped into. Was it too soon or too late that last summer of your life when we watched you walk down to the river to take a sip from its ongoing flow? Oh, Jack, I miss your presence everywhere, in the corners of rooms, in every chair, or nesting in a cardboard box. Take me back where the past can again enter those early remembered rooms. our snowbound street. Lift me upside down in your arms. I cannot stand it. I need a journey too. Have I slept my life away? Do I understand anything? Will I wear a bell like yours into the afterlife where language no longer exists and we gather only linked sounds like oars from a passing boat? Those few syllables to recall tenderness? You no longer wait for us. All day long, Basho wrote, a lark sings in the air. Yet he seems to have had not quite his fill. Oh, I love that. I love that. I love that. Oh, you had an orange cat named Jack. Well, Michael Ondaatje must somehow have tuned into your family there, Miss M. He doesn't describe Jack very thoroughly physically, but I definitely can feel Jack's heart in that poem. That's funny about the neighborhood cat. There were 2 kittens that were hanging out around my house. And so I literally started to look for homes for them. And I had someone very interested. I took pictures and I used Facebook to find a new home. And then it turns out they belonged to, or they were supposed to be keeping cared for by a neighbor 2 doors up. And when I told her that I had found homes, she of course started taking better care of those cats. So, but they were hanging out in my yard all the time. You know how that goes. Okay. This is from the Poetry of Impermanence, Mindfulness, and Joy. Yes, that's what I was thinking. Kane Rose says that makes me think of all the cats we no longer have. Yes, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to read it, because I know a lot of us are cat lovers who are cats. Certain cats aren't with us anymore, so I'm guessing there's lots of people who feel that missingness of our animals, and I just thought that would be a different one to bring. So that poet, I checked one of his collections out of the library last year, and none of the collection of poems didn't do for me what this poem did. So a sunny day and warm weather felt on my bones. That's the good. That is the good, Vicky. That's definitely the good. I would say one of the good, I'll tell you all a quick story before I read some more poems. But today when I went to get my sutures out, my blood pressure was through the roof. It was ridiculous. And I was able to breathe it into a better place, a very, very healthy place, which reminds me how important breathing exercises can be for those of us who sometimes feel anxiety and our blood pressure spikes. The other thing was, I was really I am squeamish. I do not I hadn't even looked at my stitches. I had my daughter change my whatever you call it that they put on when they bandage you up. I didn't like to look at it. I don't like how stitches look. They freak me out. And I just I looked away, and I was making her nervous. My nervousness is making her nervous. So she sent in a different PA. And lately it seems like I've had a lot of people showing up in my life with names of people who I love dearly. And this person who showed up was named Tom. And I have a really good friend named Tom, who's no longer with us, the theme today. You're feeling a lot of anxiety, Miss M. What I did was box breathing, which I think you may be familiar with. And I was also doing the breathing where you breathe in for 6 or 7, and then you hold for 6 or 7, and then you breathe out for 1 or 2 beats longer. So you're exhaling more than you're inhaling, and you're pausing between inhales and exhales. It worked really well. I've had a lot of anxiety before this appointment. So, hey, CL. But anyway, so Tom was my guy. He was the PA. And he had his hair in a high like bun thing, and his hair was really curly. And so at first he said his name was Tom, and I said, "What's your last name?" And again, I talked to my medical people as if they were humans, which they are. But I think a lot of times that we don't always talk to medical professionals like that. So I said, I like the way your hair looks. And he said, yeah, I come from a military family, so we always had military cuts. And then 2 years ago, I decided to grow my hair out. And I was like, it looks really great. And then we started talking about being in the military, what branch were his family members in. We just had a really, really interesting conversation. And it made me a lot calmer. Plus, he gave me lots of Band-Aids. So you're a dog person, Vicky. 4 dogs are buried in the upper part of your yard. Wow. I also have dogs buried in different parts of my yard. Cats too. The cats are near the mulberry tree, and the dogs are near one of the backyard palm tree. Yeah, it's bad. It hurts again. It wasn't hurting, and now it hurts again, but not super badly. Anyway, I'm going to read a poem by Philip Larkin. All right, so here we go. It's called Here. And remember, these are all about presence. There's a lot of poems in this book that are written by Asian writers from the 9th, 10th, 12th century. So, but Philip Larkin was alive in the 20th century, and he wrote, "Swerving east from rich industrial shadows and traffic all night north, swerving through fields too thin and thistled to be called meadows, and now and then a harsh named halt that shields workmen at dawn, swerving to solitude of skies and scarecrows, haystacks, hares, and pheasants, and the widening river's slow presence, the piled gold clouds, the shining gull-marked mud. Gathers to the surprise of a large town. Here domes and statues, spires and cranes cluster beside grain-scattered streets, barred, crowded water, and residents from raw estates brought down the miles by stealing flat-faced trolleys. Push through plate glass swing doors to their desires. Cheap suits, red kitchenware, sharp shoes, iced lollies, electric mixers, toasters, washers, dryers. A cut-price crowd, urban yet simple. Dwelling where only salesmen and relations come within a terminate and fishy-smelling pastoral of ships up streets. Tattoo shops, consulates, grim-faced, grim-head-scarved one. Wow. Isolate villages where removed lives, loneliness clarifies. Here, silence stands like heat. Here, leaves unnoticed thicken. Hidden weeds flower, neglected waters quicken. Luminously, people air ascends, and past the poppy's bluish neutral distance. Ends the land suddenly beyond a beach of shapes and shingle. Here is unfenced existence. Facing the sun, untalkative, out of reach. All right, Catherine, have fun on the road. That one is really interesting to me. It's a list poem, as you probably figured out. There's a whole bunch of lists. But just a description of the landscape of here. So I was really curious as to where he was. There was some of it that really reminded me of Baltimore. That might just be because I drove through Baltimore today. And in driving through Baltimore, I was really very much aware of the port of Baltimore. So it also reminded me, I don't know, I think most of you know Dave Lowe. He did a street scene painting on one of his recent videos. And it was just a really interesting slice of life, urban slice of life. And I really liked it. I really enjoyed watching him paint. And there were people in there. There was a cinema in there, and it just, I don't know, that painting was like a poem. So, all right. Okie dokie. Here's one that I can relate to. Hi, Madden. Good to see you. Hello, hello, my California friend. Here's a priceless gifts, and I can relate to this poem tonight. Empty day without events, and that is why it grew immense as space, and suddenly happiness of being entered me. I heard in my heartbeat the birth of time, and each instance of life, one after another, came rushing in like priceless gifts. I definitely felt like that today. Okay, so we have read Billy Collins before, and this is another kind of long one, but I think you'll enjoy it because I know I enjoyed it. Speaking of joy, this is called Aimless Love, and it's about all the things that Billy Collins was loving in that moment, and it reminds me of Tell Me Something Good. So how about if you want to make this comment, of course, if you don't, that's okay too. But if you want to tell us what you love. Okay, good. Canro watched that video of Dave's today. Okay, so write in the comments if you'd like something you are loving. And remember, it's aimless love. This morning as I walked along the lake shore, I fell in love with a wren. And later in the day with a mouse the cat had dropped under the dining room table. In the shadows of an autumn evening, I fell for a seamstress still at her machine in the tailor's window, and later for a bowl of broth, steam rising like smoke from a naval battle. This is the best kind of love, I thought, without recompense, without gifts or unkind words, without suspicion or silence on the telephone. The love of the chestnut, the jazz cap, and one hand on the wheel. No lust, no slam of the door. The love of the miniature orange tree, the clean white shirt, the hot evening shower, the highway that cuts across Florida. No waiting, no huffiness or rancor, just a twinge every now and then. For the wren who had built her nest on a low branch overhanging the water, and for the dead mouse still dressed in its light brown suit. But my heart is always propped up in a field on its tripod, ready for the next arrow. After I carried the mouse by the tail to a pile of leaves in the woods, I found myself standing at the bathroom sink, gazing down affectionately at the soap, so patient and soluble, so at home in its pale green soap dish. I could feel myself falling again as I felt its turning in my wet hands and caught the scent of lavender and stone. That is definitely a poem of mindfulness. Mindfulness and being in a space of love for a bar of soap, for a wren who built its nest at the perfect level. All right. So here's a poem for those of us who are aging joyfully. This poem is called Old Geezer by A.R. Ammons, who wrote, and this is very short, okay, so listen carefully. The quickest way to change the world is to like it the way it is. I like that. The quickest way to change the world is to like it as it is. And here's one especially written for those of us who write poetry. It's called Why the Aging Poet Continues to Write by Paul Ann Peterson. At a coneflower seed-making center, hundreds of tiny dark florets, each stiff and sharp, take tunes oozing their flashes of pollen. A flagrant bee stopping show. Making a bright circle, the outermost spiky blossoms open first to then fade, shrinking day by day. The ring of yellow flame moves inward. That heart, what's at the flower's very core, blazes last. Nice. Nice job, Paula Ann. I'm feeling you. There's quite a few old lady poems in this book. I appreciate it. William Carlos Williams has one. I'm not going to read that. Alicia Oostreicher has one. Old lady. Marianne Moore has one. What is going on? What is going on with all these old lady poems? Okay. I guess I read that one already. Okay, let me see if I can find a couple more for you. Since I just got these books, I don't know them all that well yet. All right, I love this one. This one is by an Asian poet. I'm not sure what country, and I didn't have a chance to research. They have all the modern poets. They have biographies in the back of this book, but they don't have any of the Asian poets from this. He's from the 18th century. And I can relate to this. Maybe you can too. This is called First Days of Spring, the Sky. And he's a monk. The writer of the poem, or the speaker in the poem, is a monk. First days of spring. The sky is bright blue, the sun huge and warm. Everything's turning green. Carrying my monk's bowl, I walk to the village to beg for my daily meal. The children spot me at the temple gate and happily crowd around, dragging on my arms till I stop. I put my bowl white rock, hang my bag on a branch. First, we braid grasses and play tug of war. Then we take turns singing and keeping a kickball in the air. I kick the ball and they sing. They kick and I sing. Time is forgotten and hours fly. People passing by point at me and laugh. Why are you acting like such a fool? I nod my head and don't answer. I could say something, but why? Do you want to know what's in my heart? From the beginning of time. Just this. Just this. Oh, I love that. Sometimes joy seems childlike, and I'm all for that. Okay. Yes, I write poetry, Chris. I love writing poetry. Miss M's loving the cool weather in Indiana. Aimless Love, Vicky has love for creating junk journals and taking photos, and you caught the scent of lavender. So good to see you, Echo. Hello. Very nice, very nice. And thank you, moderators, for getting rid of stuff that doesn't belong here. It's like Ken Rowe is masterful at popping those people out. I have another poem that I'll share. I know we're getting towards the end, but this is so cute. I could not stop giggling when I read this poem. It's only 3 lines. A version of haiku by someone named Kobayashi Isa, and that is a Japanese name, so I'm guessing the Japanese. It was translated by Robert Haas, who's a poet I enjoy. And this is how it goes. Children imitating cormorants are even more wonderful than cormorants, which is a kind of bird. I think I'm pronouncing that right, cormorants. I'll say it again. And you could insert, you could insert any bird's name in there. So children imitating cormorants are even more wonderful than cormorants. So children imitating cardinals are even more wonderful than cardinals. Children imitating gray catbirds are even more wonderful than gray catbirds. But don't tell my neighborhood gray catbird Gracie that, because she might get upset. Oh, joy feels good. You were daydreaming. It's so good. And Miss M, it's okay. It's okay. There's lots of days when I'm not with it. I know, shocking, but true. And today I'm going to be mostly with my head on the pillow and sitting in the window. Here, let me show you. This is what I love the most about this hotel. Do you see that right there? That's where I will be for most of the evening, sitting in that window on that chaise and watching the streetscape below me. So while I love being outdoors, I also really like urban stuff too. So there's a little window there for you to see into Julie's life. Anyway, although the irony is that I can also be very, very, very serious and very intense. So yeah, anyway, I would like to say I thank you all who was here, whether you're live or on the replay. I forgot to welcome the replay viewers. Julie. Again, this will be the last episode of poetry and prompts on a weekly basis. I may bring them back. So I will be rescheduling the journaling. I'm just going to change the date on the announcements of the journaling videos, because if you missed it, I was cast in the monologue show. So we're going to start read through and rehearsals next week. And the rehearsals start at 6, which is really inconvenient. But after that first 3 days next week, and it's right in perfect time for Wonder Walks, because I'll be doing those starting the while I'm in Amherst. So I'm glad that you caught me too. So wonderful to see you all. Have a great rest of your day, and we will catch you somewhere on these YouTube streets. Monday we'll be back with our gratitude and intention 12:30. So thank you so much. It worked. Take care, everyone. Goodbye.